Good afternoon, it's Richard from Black Stump here, and I'm doing a presentation today on my LC200 Landcruiser, which I purchased about 6 months ago now, and had it fitted out at ARB in Victoria, and took it up to Cairns, which is where it is now and where we're filming with my cameraman Gary, hopefully keeping a steady hand on all this. And I thought to do an overview of the car and some of its features and the additions that are really that I wanted to have to the car, and the things that I like to carry with me, and where they are in relation to the vehicle and how the storage works. So I'm going to begin with under the bonnet here, which you're all pretty familiar with. Obviously, the additions to the base standard car are is the house battery, the auxiliary battery, complementing the main starter battery, and that's obviously all been wired to the back, which supports the fridge and all those essential items that you can run with. And we've found we can run about 3 days from this battery, which keeps our fridge alive, and that's about it. But we never stay for very long, we always move on, so the car's being charged. Bull bar here, LED lights, which don't do a lot of night driving, but they are very, very good. Excellent thing. GME radio system in the car, and the worn winch underneath, which is nicely placed here. Handle with a very clever little hatch here. It opens up, put your hand in, and you just disengage this, and then you pull the winch out as far as you like. Re-engage the clutch like that, and then do your winching if you get yourself caught. So we'll come around to this side of the car now. And here, obviously, a snorkel that came with the car, because it's a GX Landcruiser, so it's the base model Landcruiser, and that therefore it comes with the snorkel. Over here on the driver's side, what I always keep handy is my little ARB recovery tyre deflator, which is great when you're moving around in sand. Instructions are in there, keep it handy, but that's a great little piece of gear for reducing the pressure in your tyres and taking air out, when you're moving across sand. It just makes life a lot easier. That's a good little thing, that always sits in there. Another little essential for me, obviously, matches to light fire, and a couple of these little Sandvik saws. I used to carry a chainsaw, but it's just not worth it. These are fantastic little things, and you can get yourself enough firewood for the night with these. In the car itself, black duck seat covers, and lumbar support, and under the seat here, which is a bit hard to see, is the ARB inbuilt air compressor for inflating the tyres. Just do a little switch on there. See that? Ignition's off at the moment, but that's good. Good work, Gary. Good work. So that's great. You deflate quickly to get out of sand, and inflate after you're out to get your tyres back. Very efficient compressor, works beautifully, and sits under there very neatly. And the car itself is equipped with all the things that you need for your off-road, which includes the previously reviewed crawl control, and you can look at the other Black Stump video on that, and that's just a great addition to this car, and you'll see how effective and useful that is when you really want to get to places that other people can't get to. I also carry with me the Inmarsat satellite phone. I don't use it much, except it's nice to have in an emergency. It's not a GPS. It means I can ring up for help if I really get stuck, but I try not to get stuck, and that's a good thing to have. And in here, I keep an iPad, and I've got my HEMA Maps here. HEMA Maps is a great product. All the maps of Australia, everything you want, all over Australia, topographic. You download that, and it's not cheap, but it's a great product. You can drill in on anywhere you want. It goes all the way down, right down to full topographic, and you'll just never get lost with this piece of gear. That's a great thing. That just sits in here, as does my radio, which is not plugged in at the moment. It's a GME handset here, and I keep a nice little GME UHF with that as well, because if you're winching, you want a remote conversation, use that, you know. And obviously back to the vehicle with this. It's a lovely bit of gear, very robust. I keep my tyre pressure gauge readings up here, so that, you know, tells me where they should be in regard to road conditions, type of road conditions, sand, gravel, corrugations, and bitumen. So just moving forward to the back. Yeah, I keep a full, basically an operations manual for the vehicle, which has got everything in it, all the complete operation of the vehicle, all my warranties, operation, the one winch, absolutely everything. So all the equipment, but because there's a few other mates of mine who use the vehicle, and it's just a nice reference thing to have. I've assembled that into here, and put that back in there. 3 little pillows that my wife made me, beautiful little things. And these are great because when you're bouncing around the track with 3 or 4 guys, because we usually go away with 4, you need this, because otherwise you're rolling into each other and bumping in, and you can pack these down and give you a bit of lumbar support. And they're just a great little thing. And up the back here, if you can get a shot in here, Gary, just come around here. You might be able to come into the car and then back into here. Yeah, up here, at the back, I have the air hose and gauges. Air hose and gauges, ARB gear here again, really quality stuff. And that plugs into the compressor that's under the seat, and you can use that, well, you do use that for re-inflating the tyres. It's a lovely little thing, that. And the wide winch controller sits in there whenever required, easy access. And these all sit into these MSA pouches that are at the back. A great little addition. Just that's that pouch. Sit up there, and this one here, I've got a little water hose that is it's a lay flat hose, and this is used for filling the water tank on the other side. You can see the pipe coming out of the water tank, and there's a point there where you plug this hose into the water pipe, and you put that onto a tap. Obviously you fill up in a garage or wherever you stop, and other spare fittings in there. Or alternatively, there's a funnel that sits up on the roof, which I'll point out later, and you can unscrew the breather cap there, and you can fill water out of a stream into the tank. The tank actually sits behind here against this. It's a 60-litre bladder tank, and it takes up the space that is otherwise wasted with these seats. So it left a lot of room, or it's made a lot more room for people for putting storage in the back. We've also kitted it out with USBs on the sides here. There's one there, one over that side, and there's two in the front. These are great. Everybody's got gadgets, iPhones, whatever they want to charge. They just whack it in there when they're traveling, and then away you go. So we'll swing around the back here, Gary. Swing around the back, and look, this is a rubbish bag, but it's a lot more than a rubbish bag. It's actually a really environmentally way to take the rubbish out of the bush. And believe me, we see plenty of it. This bag just gets hung up here, sits on the back, put your rubbish in it. There's an area there you can swing it across and put your recycles on one side and your putrescible rubbish on the other. You've got a couple of nice pockets here for putting ropes and dirty gear and rags and things. That just sits up here, and it's tough as all get out. I've had a previous one, didn't last long. This is an absolute gem, this thing. Doesn't look great, but believe me, it's a great thing to have with you. Okay, on the back, swinging off the back, we've got the Kmart bar, as you can see, runs all the way around here, and it has the two carriers, one for the spare wheel, which is carried on the back, and on the other side of the car, swing around, get that in. I'm carrying two 20-litre jerry cans. I have to carry those. I did have a previous vehicle, a 100 series, and that had an additional tank built under, but I couldn't have that because I've opted to keep my spare tyre under here. So I've got two spares. I've got the one on the back, and underneath here I've got the one that is the Toyota tyre, and that's accessed obviously through here. I have to lower that down onto the ground. And the two jerry cans here, as you can see, I've got those locked up because fuel does get taken. I've got the 50-year-old filler. It's a great bit of gear, and just sits nice. It just sits in there, and you've got 40 litres of spare fuel, but there's 140 in the car itself. So I've got 180 litres. I've got a range of about 1,200 kilometres on bitumen. On a track, probably half that, but you're well within reach of fuel. And that just swings off the back here. I keep a spare tyre, keep a spare key in here, so that something happens to the car or you drop the key, then always exit from here. Codes are on the back here, I keep that. And then into the back of the car, I've got these Kmart bags, which just mounted up either side of the door, and put a lot of just bits and pieces in there. I've got repellent, I've got torch, I've got more spare matches, hand cleaner, gloves. Essential. Got to have gloves, guys. Gloves when you're lighting a fire, moving your billy, whatever. It's just fantastic. As you can see, they get used a lot. We love gloves. Sunblock, pack of cards. You've got to have cards. You can't go camping without cards. And of course, Bushman's insect repellent. That's a beautiful thing. And another one on the other side, spare USB cable, a couple of Ockies, bits and pieces. So that hangs there. And then with essential things that are accessible straight away. Toilet paper, can't go away without toilet paper. That just sits there. And down the side here, there's like a little spare pantry. There's a whole lot of things down here. There's a little jaff line, there's bags, there's spare gas cylinders for my Iwatani gas stove, there's spare toilet paper. I've got a whole lot of drugs. Somebody gets sick, Neuromol, tablets, Gastro Stop, Gastro Aid, basic first aid stuff, betadine. Not going to save a life, but it's going to stop somebody from being uncomfortable. Spare toilet paper at the back here, insect repellent, spare things, bags, and that all just sits in there, like that. And that's this lid, just pops in there, snaps back on here. And while I'm there, in the back, we have a little panel. I keep with the electrical box. And if we just look in there, that's all the fuses for the house battery, the fridge, and all the accessories. So anything electrical here, I've got spare fuses, and they're, you know, I think where they should be with the electrical stuff. You need to change anything. And as well as that, the Toyota jack, that standard Toyota jack, that just sits in there. Snap that back on there. And a couple of things, keep rolling on. I use this is fantastic. This is our washing up tub. Great little bit of gear. Can't remember the brand of it, but I'll tell you what, it's great. It's heat proof, goes up to nothing, very robust, good. Ground sheet, whenever we turn up, I throw my ground sheet on the ground, take all the stuff out, stops getting dirt on things. That works very nicely. And our box here on the back, I call this the lunch box. So before we head off, we fill this up with lunch gear. Bread, tuna, and apples, and all the stuff you want to have for lunch. Don't have to dig into the car itself. You just grab what you want out of this box, and you know, it makes for easy living. Other stuff, the gas stove. I've got the Iwatani gas stove. I've given up on those other crappy $29 stoves, and I've gone for this. This is a ripper bit of gear, and just come back from Japan recently, and I've seen these in just about every Japanese sashimi restaurant in town. And beautiful bit of gear, stainless steel, and windproof guard. Just flick of a switch, great efficiency. Open up, same as the other one. Gas calendar in, gas cylinder out. Nice box, sits in there. That is a superb piece of equipment. The Iwatani stove for camping is a must do in my view. Right hand drawer. ARB drawers here, they're a good thing. Cooking space when you're camping, it's essential. Big drawer here, not filled up at the moment because we've come back from a trip, but we can have 10 days out, I think 10 days food in here for 4 people. So that's breakfast, lunch and dinner, completely self-sufficient, and it all fits in there. You've got to be careful what you buy, but that's a really good space. And that just sits over there, beautiful thing, sits in there. And on the other side, the other drawer, whole lot of things in here, all this sort of stuff. Plates, these are melamine plates, things that compact, little stainless steel cookers, little mixing bowls, a little skillet, not big fry pans. You put big stuff in here, it doesn't work. You got to put small stuff. You know, these plastic canisters for your tea, coffee, plastic drinking cups, and of course stubby holders from Multiworks. And then a box full of knives, forks, spoons, everything in there that you need. It's not a lot, but it's all you need. You don't want to carry too much. Nice little wooden chopping board. That's a beautiful thing. The billy, keep the billy in here, and the billy's stops it from getting dirt all over the car. It's a pretty grubby little thing, but that sits on the fire every night. And of course, little wine glasses here. And at the back, my little cut crystal whiskey glass, all the way from Ireland, sits in here in its paper box, cardboard box, and it's as safe as houses. So rolling along, slide this one out. Once again, ARB drawers, slide this out. I've got my table sitting on the side here. It's, you know, this is a $25 Chinese table. I've had it for 15 years. It's never stopped working. It's light, it's efficient, it's never let me down. It's a great little thing. Nothing wrong with that. Great. And of course the Angel fridge. Everybody knows the Angel fridge. Angel fridge, gauges at the back, temperature sitting on that. You read the temperature at the back. You want to keep that at about 5 degrees. I've got a few things here about changing batteries and things, but just adjust that. But you can get, with the house batteries, you can get that for about 3 days without having to restart the car. It'll cut out after a while, so it'll never drain the car. And when we pack it up, we've got to pack it up so that this sits here so that it's can breathe, it doesn't get smelly. Up the top here, I've got the Speedy tents. These are the chuck out tents. I love these for camping. These are just a really, really lightweight thing. I've got 4 large ones, another one somewhere else. And they just sit there. I've got ground sheets in here. You can put down the ground sheets with those tents, because if you don't, you'll end up with holes in them. But they just pop up, and as long as you put your bag in them, they don't blow away. I'm throwing that out. Up here, keep a few other things. This is my little grill. That's a great little thing. Cooking chops and things straight on the barbie. Little Hessian sack. Keep that in there so it doesn't make everything greasy. And then of course up here you'll see on Black Stump a review of the Jimmy's Thunderbox, and you'll see how that works. That's an essential piece of equipment. And all that sits up there. I won't repack it right now, but that just sits there nice and flat. I can get 4 tents in there. I've got ground sheets, and yeah, and these, I use these Helinox chairs. There's another review on these. They are fantastic, lightweight, very strong, incredibly comfortable. Best thing that I've sat on in a camp chair for in my life. They work beautifully. 4 of those. They sit down there. They take up no space. And over the side here, we've got the control panel, which we've got water, which is an electric pump out of that tank, out of here. Switch that on. 60 litres of water. That works very nicely. And over here we have the lighting. You see up the lighting here, it comes on. LED lighting in the house, built in. And if you require, there's additional lighting. There's a SIG socket down here, and you just turn that on. You take that as high or low. That's just an additional bar of lighting there. That just tucks back in there. USB port, and as I said, fridge socket, a couple of spare USBs there, and a reset button for the fridge. That's the fridge switch. The fridge is permanently wired in, but the fridge turns on from there. But when we store the car, obviously you've got to make sure that that fridge is off. Otherwise, it'll keep running when the car's stored. That's the switch for the fridge. There's our lights. There's our water. That's all there. So I think we're pretty right there. We'll just move around to this. I think we've got that side covered, and the last bit is up the top here. I'll show you what I've kitted my car out with at the top. We'll get our cameraman Gary. Point that up. I'll put that. I'll come up the back here, and I'll show you what we've got here. The funnel, as I said before, just sits up here, but doesn't get used much. That's just in case you want to fill your tank, the bladder tank, out of the river. That's a towing and gooseneck that sits in there. I don't tow anything, but I've got to pull somebody out, I might use it. And this is the ARB high lift jack. This is pretty new to ARB. I haven't used it in real time yet. As you can see, it's still new, but I've demoed it separately, and it is a beautiful bit of gear. It rings around that high lift jack that you see around. It's been around for about 200 years. This thing is a great bit of gear. They're expensive, about $1,000, but if you get caught, this is a very safe bit of gear for lifting your car out of trouble with. I keep a toolbox at the back here. Toolbox, as you can see, it's got a whole lot of bits and pieces in it. I've got spanners, I've got ring spanners, I've got everything that, you know, if you get into trouble, the stuff you need. You've got screwdrivers. It's all the big stuff. Rarely use it. Wire, hacksaw, screwdrivers, wheel winch. Just a lot of bits and pieces that you could, if you need to, you know, to make something up to get yourself out of trouble. That just sits in there. A spare rope, the tyre repair kit, instructions on this are in the back, but this is the ARB gear. These are a fantastic bit of gear. This will save you having to change a tyre, and you repair that with these inserted plugs, and they will get you out of trouble in a heartbeat. We've got jumper leads just in case you need to help somebody out with their vehicle, and all our ARB winch gear, as you can see, being used rarely, but you got to have it there if you need it. And that just all sits up. That's just all that's here in this, including a little fire grill that you can put on the fire. This basically is all the gear that if I'm in trouble, this is the bag I come to. This is a rooftop bag. It's just zipped up, everything's there, and if you're in trouble, this is your bag. This is your go-to place. So we'll just come down the back here, and get a cameraman to come over here. Just one last thing. One essential bit of gear. The shovel sits up here. Undo those. Those, as I said, that's where you fill the water here. Yeah, look, in all, this is my Landcruiser. I've had one before. I worked out what I needed, and I've got it kitted out exactly the way I want it, and I know that God willing, it'll keep going for many, many years. Thanks for watching Blank Stop. I'll see you soon.